So I'm going to go from the beginning and work from there. I have the height edition here. So his tempo was quarter note equals 63. I think that's a bit fast. It is Adagio and not lento, but I think it shouldn't sound rushed. So I'm starting right now at about like quarter note equals 58, just 5 clicks slower. And I like that, but I might slow it down even a bit more. In fact, I really want to almost err on the side of pulling all of the 30-second notes back. So and stretching them just a bit so that one, they don't sound rushed, but two, they're in keeping with the style. Because I'm one of those people, I see more ink on the page. I see 30-second notes instead of 16th notes or 16th notes instead of 8th notes, especially if it's sudden. And I have to really fight the urge to like rush through it, especially if I'm nervous about it, especially if it's a particularly tricky run. I'm like nervous to get through it without making a mistake. I'll probably rush, which also will make me more likely to make a mistake. So it doesn't make sense, but that's what I do. And so I like to reference his markings for phrasing, for dynamics, and also sometimes for breathing. This is just one of those days where I need to be more mindful about my breathing. And I think some of his suggestions will be helpful. So I'm going to go back from the beginning again, and I'm going to try and implement these breaths. For this playthrough, I'm going to attempt to use all of the ones that height indicated, and I'm going to use this as a way to, I might stop if I find something that just really doesn't work and mark it out. But I'm going to try and use all of these and see if I can figure out like a pacing that's going to work for me. So back at the beginning. I've been doing weird things around the A flat turn, and I know exactly what notes it's meant to be. It's not marked, but you should be playing a G natural on the bottom. I'm going to go back just a little bit because I want to get these breaths to be as much in context as possible. But I could definitely use another go at that 30-second run. So I'm going to go at the end of the second line. So I feel like I don't like where that breath is here. I just erased in the first measure of the fourth line. I want to take a breath here. On like my best day, I don't think I would do this or would like it. But if I were not 100% like I am today, if I was feeling like not my best, if feeling like breathing was difficult like it is right now, I think instead I would want to just delete this first 30-second and put a nice taper on the high D flat and grab a breath before I start this descent, because I think that'll give me more success. So I'm going to go back and start at the same place, but try this different method. I feel like today, anyway, I'm still going to need another breath, but maybe I can do it here, like one of those little mini ones, and try the same spot one more time. mess up the turn, but I think that was going to work okay. I did it again. I see, now I think I do want that breath there. But maybe instead of treating it like a big breath, I'm going to treat those 3 in succession all the same. It's just kind of quick little breaths so I can so that I have the breath support that I want, or at least as close as I can today. I'm going to try that whole thing one more time. So I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to go from the syncopation at the end of the third line. I think I'm approaching this all wrong. Instead of using my breath to try and make that happen perfectly in time, I'm going to change my approach. I'm going to take this breath out because I don't like it. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to make it optional. It's just a maybe. I'm going to take this 30-second run. And this might be a controversial decision, but at this point, I don't really care. Because if this was on my exam tomorrow, or my performance tomorrow, or my jury tomorrow, I would just be concerned with giving myself the best musical performance I can. And I think the way to do that, the way to preserve the music and not let issues with my air or my technique without letting that get in the way, would be to treat this descent as kind of like not an actual cadenza, but giving it some cadenza-like qualities. So I am going to take that breath, maybe. I don't know. Jury's still out. But I'm going to put a little bit of a tenuto on those first few notes. Like there's a bit of a pullback, like a little bit of writ right on the start of that descent. And then I'm going to give myself like a little bit of forward motion through here and a little bit of pullback here. And I think if I do it subtly, it'll be no big deal. It's not going to read like cadenza to the listener. It's just going to read like rubato. It's just going to read like a musical interpretation of that line. So particularly those last 4 notes, if I really pull back there, it'll, one, help me manage the technique through there, but more importantly, it'll sound intentional and musical. Will it be what every person would prefer to do there, or would prefer for it to sound like? No. It'll sound like a choice I made and not like I got stuck. Is it perfect yet? No, but with that level of intention, I feel like it sounds more, it's going to be something and not be just a question mark at best, and then a mistake at worst. I'm going to do that whole thing one more time. But no, I'm not. I'm going to make it a smaller chunk because I really just want to make that descent happen the way I want it. So I'm going to go back to the syncopations. I don't want it to get too fast though. And I'm not sure. I think I'm seeing that arrow, that long arrow, thinking I'm really accelerating. But really it's just a baby acceleration back to tempo. That was better. That was more like what I'm picturing. Same section again. Better. It doesn't sound like I've mastered it yet, but it sounds now more like I have an idea and I'm not letting the music play me. I'm working on playing it the way I want it to sound. So I'm going to go from the top and try and put all that together. I almost had it, but I made a mistake in a weird spot. Let me do that from the beginning one more time. That's getting much better. All right, so I'm going to pick up where I left off and continue on. So I'm going to pick up in the second bar of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth line. Up my fingering there, so I want to write that in. So I'm going to pick it up again, the second bar of the fifth line where we go into our minor mode. Actually, I'm going to start a couple bars before because I want to make that contrast between the pianissimo and the forte. So there is something we might need more of. I think here I definitely need a crescendo marking because I don't think this is a subito forte. I just think that most of that crescendo is going to happen on that last beat or so. So I'm going to go to that same spot one more time. Also, one spot I wanted to point out was that grace note there. It's written in my part as a B flat grace note to a B flat eighth note. Height corrected it to a C. I have been playing kind of as like an anticipation, but Height has written I think is actually right. So I'm going to change that. So I'm going to do that section one more time, and then I'm going to keep going. Okay, that makes sense then, because down the octave it is a C grace note, so that makes perfect sense then why I changed it to a C before, so they match. So I'm going to go back to that grace note I corrected in the second bar of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Seventh line. Yeah, that's where I left off. So I know that there's a trick to that trill fingering, but I don't remember what it is. That's what I did before, and it might be the only option. So I'm doing just this right now. I'm holding down those and then trilling here, and it makes it kind of weird. But I think that's the only option. I think anything else is going to be too cumbersome, so I'm just going to have to deal with like a little stuffiness and just let it happen. I don't want to rush that. I definitely did. And the theme for this one needs to be that all the 30 seconds are like moderately paced. They shouldn't really crash into whatever the next thing is. I'm running out of air a bit at the end there. I think if I don't have enough air, I'm going to just break that slur and breathe between those two half notes, but taper off this D flat half note nicely. So I think the fuzzy D flat E flat trill is the best that I can do today. I'm gonna do that section one more time. better. So I want to start putting this together again in some larger chunks. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And I'm not going to play it all the way through top to bottom just yet, but I want to start trying to fuse some of these smaller pieces together and work on the overall flow. And I think I'm going to put the metronome on for a minute to help me with pacing through some of these 30-second notes. So the 30 seconds will also sound a bit more musical. I might be rushing that. Use that other fingering if usually I do stuff like that like in the orchestra if I need to match pitch with somebody and the other fingering doesn't work so well. I'm gonna go pick up to the second from last line. So it was good to check in with the metronome there. I still feel like I'm on the slower side, but something like this, I would rather play it in exam or performance or whatever, jury, a hair slower. I would rather have the critique that it was great but could have been a bit faster than the critique of it sounded rushed or difficult or it wasn't fully under my control. Which is not going to be today because this is just one, 2-ish hour practice of it. But I would rather get criticized for a style choice or a perceived style choice of just doing it slower to make the technical sections more accessible, but also to make the phrasing a bit easier. This is one of those where I think if you're faster, you might miss some of those little but also just in general, I think it's better for whoever's evaluating you or your audience to disagree with you from like an artistic standpoint, like a subjective standpoint, than it is to like for something to sound wrong or sound like it's too difficult. I'm gonna play this through a few times. I'm gonna check in with my tempo again for a moment.